travel from the south of France to South Africa this evening as the TSRC PC GT3 Series heads to Kyalami for round number 2 of Season 7. Welcome, folks, to the TSRC and the JP Broadcasting channel, wherever you may be watching, for tonight's dose of racing action. My name is Kelsey Gill, and alongside me, as always, is the one and only Zach Sweeney as my glamorous co-commentator, and of course, Mr. Kieran Sharp, who works tirelessly to bring us the beautiful broadcast that you see before you here on this evening, where Lewis Hamilton has sent shockwaves through the motorsport world. Good evening, Zach. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I did not know that Lewis Hamilton was going to Ferrari, I'll be honest. It just comes as a complete surprise to me. As if I haven't been reading it on Twitter for the last 24 hours, essentially. But yeah, there you go. Shocks to the F1 world. Hopefully this isn't the Ferrari that Lewis Hamilton will be driving, the one that we see on screen. Because, I don't know, it just isn't ticking for me, unfortunately. However, the circuit of Kyalami definitely is. Circuit that people argue maybe, while we're on the topic of F1, should go to F1. Unfortunately, it is only an FIA Grade 2. However, when it comes to quality of circuit, it firmly is a Grade 1 in my books. It is fast-flowing, a lot of fun. And of course, where we all started off with the TSRC all the way back in Season 1, August of 2022, all that time ago. And we've since been there, I think, twice. We were last season for the finale. We were there probably a couple of seasons before that as well. So Kyalami, a lot of history when it comes to TSRC and a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, certainly. So plenty of history as far as the TSRC is concerned. So Kyalami then is a circuit far from unfamiliar to us here at the TSRC, and the second round on the calendar, 4.58 kilometers long with 16 corners and 6 to the right and 10 to the left. It is a circuit where there are plenty of action points around it, and for a track with such a technical nature as well, it is certainly something different to see from a track with this layout, where it's going to have lots of side-by-side action, and it's a great place to go racing. Zach, you got any thoughts, comments, opinion?
When it comes to Kyalami, I mean, well, as I said, I mean, fantastic circuit. I've always enjoyed races that come to Kyalami. It was one of the first circuits that I raced at when I started off on ACC, when it first came back out on console. What was that, like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that? 4 years ago, we'll go with 4. And I had a lot of fun driving around this circuit, because obviously at the time making that adjustment into ACC, I'd only been exposed to F1 circuits, well, present F1 circuits as such. I know Kyalami used to be on the F1 calendar, but it was my first exposure to something outside of Formula 1, learning a new circuit. And I honestly had so much fun. That rise through the S's, up over the crest before you slam onto the brakes for the hairpin. It just flows really nicely. It's a circuit that maybe sometimes can lack a couple of overtaken opportunities, especially the higher up in esports you go. But that doesn't take anything away from the enjoyment factor of this circuit, and there is still plenty of potential for good racing.
Yeah, certainly so. We've seen plenty of it around here so far. A long straight all the way down, all the way to turn number 2, which is of course Crowthorne. Turn 1 being the kink, which isn't really quite a corner going through there. Then you're down for a twistier section through 3. Then there's well, I'm going to horribly pronounce this, but I'll try anyway. The Juxki sweep, then through Barbecue, then down through Sunset Clubhouse, the S's, then through turn 9, then through Lee Coop, and then through 11, then there's Mineshaft, the Crocodiles, and there's 14, Cheetah and Ingwe being the final corner as we watch. And you'll notice that the drivers are now classified into each of their classes, and you'll see that the Pro, Silver and AMs are back making a return once again. And there's only 4 pros, quite interestingly enough, out there, those being Mr. Damien Konchik. There is also Hislop, there's Dominic Aligna, and the last being Samuel Chumley, who I don't think is out on the grid tonight.
I haven't seen him, and yeah, I would agree that he maybe is taking a miss. So that fight for the podium in the pros should be very close, and I'm sure they're all going to be having a fairly successful evening. But of course, those 3 with Aligna, Hislop, and Konchik, of course, made up the of course, the podium as such for our first time out when we went to Paul Ricard a week ago. Certainly in obviously the pro standings, of course, after everyone had been sorted as such. So looking very, very good. and should be, well, hopefully a fight for the championship between all of them. I mean, Konchik coming into, you know, last week, a new driver to the championship, and then essentially just dominated, really, running really, really nicely. Aligna having a strong-ish day, not the best, and obviously had those setbacks, but his lot was just calm, composed, chill about everything really in that BMW. That moment, that form is continuing. However, the top two, Aligna, Konchik, once again rounding off the top two places in qualifying. Still 9 minutes left to go though, Kelsey, so plenty of opportunity for this to change.
Yeah, certainly so, and we've got a very interesting qualified session on our hands already. Aligna and Konchik, only a 1/10 of a second separate the two of them, with James Wright about 9/10 of a second off the pace of the pros at the front there. It's going to be an interesting season all along, I think. I think Dominic Aligna rightly feels a little bit threatened by Konchik's presence at the front. He was able to see off the previous champion, well, not previous season, but he's definitely been a previous champion before, but he's been able to see him off at round one at Paul Ricard, and he's going to see if he can do that here this evening, and it's going to be an interesting back and forth between the pair of them. It's a short season as well, so it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious, and you definitely don't want to miss out on any of the action to everybody watching, so make sure you subscribe to whichever channel you want, JP and TSRC. Do both, why not? You know, you're going to catch the race in one way or another. If you want to hear us twice over, then you can have both up at the same time if you really want to. Just come and join in the live chat as well. We don't bite. We'd love to hear from you. Any opinions, thoughts, comments, anything like that. It's always welcome. You're like the third persons in the booth for Zach and I think Kieran Sharp, of course.
Well, that's true. Although Kieran Sharp doesn't decide to get involved with the commentary affairs, probably because there would be quite a few hate comments towards the comments made about some of the drivers. Maybe. I mean, of course, he behind the scenes and stuff deals with a lot of the steward reports and things like that. So maybe he might not be able to hold himself back when it comes to opinions. Not that we do. Obviously, we don't like holding ourselves back at all, and it's probably a good thing that we don't really have much access to the public Discord of the TSRC, because I'm not too sure the drivers would be too happy with some of the things that we come out with. But yeah, of course, when it comes to you guys at home, definitely do keep us sort of involved with your thoughts, feelings, queries, questions, anything like that comes your way. 0.02 of a second, by the way, that fight for pole.
Wow, it's got even closer. Konchik just barely a piece of paper between the two of them. Having a look at trying to get that top step at the moment. He's back in the pits, maybe trying to rethink his strategy, rethink where he can go out there on the track. And Ligna's out on the circuit as well in the Audi. He'll be trying to think of a response for that. He'll be wanting to try and open up that gap between himself and Konchik as well. We're watching Elias Troyer at the moment. He's down in P14, coming round the final corner now. Can he put up together a good lap, or is he starting a lap? He's put a decent one together. It's P4 for Elias Troyer. That'll be P2 in the silver category, not far behind James Wright, only 0.05 of a second.
Yeah, nothing in it at all between those two. So looking like we've got a very interesting season lined up ahead of us. Of course, it feels like we're round one because it's the only race that we've seen them in their classifications. But of course, it is round two. Round one was a week ago at Paul Ricard. And of course, don't forget that there are two separate championships. There is the overall, which is a combination of all three categories. So potentially we could see, obviously, those AMs and silvers get themselves intermingled with the pros as such, or intermingled amongst each other. Of course, both have their own separate scoring systems. There are individual ones for the classes, and then, of course, one big one for the overall standings as well. So plenty, of course, championship battles to indulge into. Essentially 4 championships. We get the fight for the pros, silvers, AMs, and the overall as well, which, you know, crammed into a 6-week season. Won't get confusing at all, will it?
I'm not sure. The points already confuse me. All I know is that the cars go on the track, they go really fast. Sometimes they crash, sometimes they go past each other, and all the time they come across the line, except for the odd few that don't. So that's all I really understand. I try and do the math every now and again when I can, when it's important to let you know championship implications and such like that. But you know, we're not the mathematicians here. We're the voices. That's our job.
Well, yeah. Barely. Literally, by the way, I handed my notes in at work, and just a funny story, obviously, while we're on the topic of professionals and jobs and stuff. He said, so where are you going to go after this? And I said, oh, I'm just going to focus on my commentary for a little while and see if I can set something up. And he said, oh, so you haven't got anything real lined up then? And I was like, no, I haven't. Not really, no. As if to insinuate that commentary isn't a real job, which I know it's not, but it's a bit rude that he said it, right?
Well, it kind of is a real job, really. I mean, it's got its purposes, especially if you do it as much as you clearly do.
I know, but I was taken aback. I was like, the audacity. He was like, so you haven't got anything really lined up then, have you? And I was like, well, if you mean stable and conventional, no, I haven't. I think it just proved the point as to why I wanted to leave, in all fairness, unless he's watching this. And there we go. But there, Andrew Pike, if it pays, it's a job. Exactly, just like his weekends. But we won't really talk about what Andrew Pike gets up to on the weekends. 4 minutes left to go of qualifying, and Dominic Aligna, of course, the champion of Season 4, back in the day, of course. But Bailey Thompson, Jamie Nuttall, Dominic Aligna, in the order of the last few seasons. 2 1,000ths clear of Damien Konchik, by no means safe.
No, not at all. It's definitely time to put the hammer down, time to put the pedal to the floor and get the time in, and it's still such a minute gap. Even the tiniest of improvement there, it's now 0.03 of a second between the Audi and the Ferrari, the 716 and the 913. What is Konchik going to do in response here? We're watching Andrea Almonte, the 977 car in the silvers, coming around the final corner now in that very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle feeling Mercedes. How's he going to go in that car across there? It's P12. It's a slight improvement from Almonte, brings him up the order as well. That'll work out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. P8 in his silver category. With Luca Raya there doing a very good job for the AMS in pole in P10 for the AMS. Let's see Damien Konchik around the final corner for the Ferrari, the 913. What can he produce? Can it be pole position in this qualifying session as he crosses the line? No, he's starting a lap, so we're going to get even more excitement from Konchik as we go.
Indeed so. Of course, the pole was on pole this time last week. Dominic Aligna was alongside him on the front row. Let's see if it's going to be 1 apiece or 2-0 in the way of Damien Konchik. Of course, a bit of traffic for Aligna to contend with through the final couple of corners, and it's going to be difficult. Of course, they are moving out of his way quite nicely. He's got to be really careful, though, especially through Cheetah. Very easy to mount the curb and send your car flying, but he kept it nice and clean. Final corner, do or die really off the lap, is an extension on his fairly insecure pole position margin.
Yes, certainly so. Is he going to be able to find another? He's gained a few more hundredths of a second there. It's now 0.05 of a second between the two. It's still not safe by any means, but has Konchik found his limit? Has Aligna been able to push the boat out as far as he can? I imagine he's still got at least one more lap in him to go around. How about Glanovsky here in the number 53 McLaren? I think starting a lap just now, so he'll be looking to improve his P3 in the silvers as they go along, which works out to P6 overall. As you can see on the timing table here, it's going to be an interesting end to this qualifying session as we tick down to a minute left.
Yeah, not long. Of course, in ACC, if you cross the line for that time at tick 0, you are allowed to finish your lap time, so a little bit more generous in that sense. Compared to the likes of iRacing or Race Room as such. Not to take anything away from those sims, because they are, you know, great and stuff, but does allow for very interesting qualifying sessions when people try and finish their laps only to be about 2 seconds short and then get absolutely shafted. Here in ACC though, if you time it right, you can definitely extract an extra lap out of your session. Here is Elias Troyer at the moment, joining the second row alongside James Wright. Is he going to be able to top the silver class? He is, nicely into third, but still incredibly close between our two pole sitters, of course, of Aligna and Troyer of their respective classes.
There he is right there, says Sharpie in the chat as he goes. It's Elias Troyer and Wright lining up alongside one another so far. Is anything going to change? Here's Dominic Aligna once again. Is he going to be able to open up that gap even more? Has he found more time around this Kyalami track? He has. There you go. That's a bit more of a safe improvement from Konchik. 0.2 of a second. From Aligna even, can Konchik respond in due course? We'll find out. Here is Joel Bandera, the number 7 car, the American driver, coming across the line in his bright pink McLaren. Improves his time, not enough to improve his position.
just offended that you called a McLaren a Mercedes a minute. I mean, as far as Lewis Hamilton's concerned, that is a Ferrari right there. Almonte now comes across the line as it stands 12th overall. Matched Blanchette's lap time. All he needs is a marginal improvement. Gets himself up to 11th place. Nicely done. And the qualifying session draws to a close. And this is the man that we're all looking for. Damien Konchik, that 913 Ferrari machine. 2 corners left to go. Is it pole or does he have to settle for second?
Let's see. He's using all the track he can to try and gain the time. Is it going to be enough to topple Aligna's lead in this qualifying session? Across the line he comes right about now. Oh, it's so close. It's 200ths of a second between the two, but it's still Dominic Aligna on pole position. There's a few drivers yet to finish off their sessions. Here's Mav Gardner for the MSL racing team and his BMW coming into the pits, not finishing a lap. So his qualifying session is over. How about Marcel Hess, the German driver? Oh, a big skip over the curb and into the barrier.
Nice qualifying session, that must be said. Once again, very, very close. Here's how they rack up.
Yeah, let's see. Dominic Aligna then, a close margin between himself and Damien Konchik as they line up positions 1 and 2 respectively. Then there's Elias Troyer and James Wright on the second row of the grid with Hislop and Glanovsky on the third row. Then there's Joel Bandera, then there's Urison and Raya and Powell rounding off your top 10. Then there's Almonte, Blanchette, Nieto, Kyala, Presici, Gamello, Gramovsky, Hess and Gardner in position number 19. Then we have Giuseppe Zampieri. Oh gosh, Kazek Kanahov. That's not a name I have practiced this week. And then there's Parry and Miller rounding off your grid.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think Kuzum Karnov was here last race or any other season behind that. So that's fair. You know, it's fine. We're English commentators. We don't get pronunciations ever, and we probably should, but it's fine. Here for the TSRC, we have a few weeks to bed them in.
Indeed, I think it's Kazempkanov on second look. I was just intimidated the moment I saw it.
That makes sense.
That sounds right. I hope we get some sort of correction.
You know what? I'm going to put it into Google Translate.
That's what I normally do. I just didn't. I was so engrossed in the Ferrari news today that I was just, I was doing my preparations and I forgot to check any drivers that I've missed. Yeah,
that's fair. Because as I say, it's a very tricky name, as are some, especially when you have to, think them on the fly. I can empathise with you on that, Kelsey. It's something that I've had to go through plenty of times in commentary when it comes to pronunciations. Once did a race, Porsche Cup at Spa, and we were, for this particular series, we just load into the session. We don't get an entry list or anything like that, and every driver on that grid was Polish.
Gosh,
so having to go through the grid and read those names, at decent speed, because obviously the grid graphic was coming through, was very tricky, to say the least. And that's something you're going to have to get used to, Kelsey.
Yeah, indeed. It's certainly one of those things. Bailey, T37, I can only assume that's Bailey Thompson in the chat, saying Dom to win the race. And this is very reminiscent of last week, Zach. Aligna and Konchik lined up side by side on the front row, and we watched as Konchik and Aligna fought one another. Aligna got the lead, of course. They were switched in positions, and then Konchik got him back on the next lap through. So it's going to be a little taste of deja vu between these two. And what are they thinking? What are the rest of the drivers thinking as they set up for this formation lap?
A lot, really. I mean, again, for Aligna, for Konchik, it's how do I beat this person off the line? How do I stay in front going into turn number 1? And again, just maximising the opportunities. They get this final lap just to sight things out. Track temp is optimum, no rain or anything on the horizon. So perfect time to warm the tyres up a little bit. I mean, the track temp 25 degrees. Probably won't take too much for the PSIs to increase the pressure to get up to where they want it, and for the car to be nice and responsive, ready for that run into turn number 1, because you are going to want to be sharp on that way in. Tightens at the apex, nice pinch point, so definitely ideal for an opportunity to launch one up the inside for sure. And Aligna just needs to be thinking in his head, how do I best get the best start similar to sort of the one that I did last week, where I was able to get ahead in the initial moments of Poor Car.
Yeah, it's a long run down to that second corner there, and they've definitely got options, and it's a very wide part of the track as well. The track gets very narrow at places, then it widens out, and I think the main straight and those first opening corners are probably the widest parts on the circuit as you go down there. And we've seen plenty of times when we have come here that drivers can potentially go free wide, or they could go for late moves down the inside, or they can hold off around the outside. So it's going to be interesting how they go. Aligna's going to be lined up along the inside of the track, so he'll have an advantage as far as defending that quicker line through there, but it's not necessarily the best line to be on. Perhaps as a sweeping line can always offer that faster exit, and it's going to be an interesting battle between the two of them. Battle of minds, battle of confidence as they go hurtling down that straight in towards that braking zone.
They're just going to have to be on their best behaviour, but also have a pinch of aggression in the mix as well, because again, while we are still very early doors, I mean, this is only round 2, this is going to tick us through the first third of the season already, so you can't really afford to be cautious in such a sort of sprint championship-esque style where each and every single round worth of points counts as such. Yeah, you get your drop week and whatever, but you want to succeed, you need to be maximising each and every single round. You cannot settle in a championship as short and as sweet as this, as causing already a little bit of carnage in the background. One of the Porsches, believe that could be Nieto, I think, in 13th, but either way, just well, not taking the most optimal line through the left-hander there, managing to run a little bit wide on the formation lap, and just staying there. And Handsome Stu just disagreeing with everything I say, because why wouldn't he? Anyway, round number 2 here at Kyalami, about to get itself underway.
Yeah, here we are then, the drivers lining up line astern. They're getting themselves ready to go racing once more as we wait for the green flags. Coming round the final corner through Ingwe, turn number 16. The line just a few more meters ahead. You can see the 5 red lights. When are they going to start waving those green flags? Who is going to get the jump on this start as we go? A few more inches to go as we cross the line. When are we going to go racing? When are those flags going? Who's going to drop it first? There we go. We're green and ready to go racing. And it's a decent start from Aligna, who's covered off Konchik already as they go. Elias Troyer is looking down the inside of the Ferrari of Konchik as well in towards turn number 1. The pink Porsche going down the inside. Side by side they go now. And 2 by 2 they go down throughout the grid as well. Elias Troyer sticking it around the outside for this twisty complex. And now onto the inside. Little right of the curb for car number 63. And still holding on is Konchik around the outside, gets in front of the Porsche and holds him off.
Yeah, a very crucial start there for Aligna, and already some carnage and chaos at the back end of the field. Patricio Gameo rejoins this race a little bit further down than he would have liked to have been. Konchik not off to the best of starts, but consolidating that second place. James Wright trying to pick his way past Josh Hislop as well. That's the fight for 8th place, is there on the back of this train for the lead. Glanovsky just in behind of that McLaren. Plenty of McLarens out there today. You can see 4 of them. 1, 2, 3 and 4 in this little train here just behind James Wright, the fight for 5th. Aligna though, crucial start, already a second clear.
Yeah, a fantastic start from Aligna. He covered off Konchik immediately. He blocked him off from going onto that outside line all the way down in towards turn number 2, and he left him to be to the devices of Elias Troyer, who definitely helped out Aligna there in that opening part of the race. And I think this battle is going to be long fought between the two of them, and Troyer may even find himself in amongst it as well if he can keep up the consistency around here too. Let's see, Benny Thompson saying that McLaren has minus 25 kg since the patch at this track, so shouldn't be as bad, he says there. So the McLarens might have a little bit of an advantage as they've lost a little bit of weight.
Yeah, of course, always going to be helpful, especially through the twists and turns. Makes the car a bit more responsive, a bit more punch in the acceleration zones. Let's see how it's good around the outside of turn number 1. James Wright has to tuck in behind the BMW. And it's now actually sparked a move for Glanovsky to have a bit of a look around the outside into 2. Has the space over the sausage curb though, and a huge snap of oversteer invites Pyle to then go side by side through the next left at the top of the crest. And there you can see, I think, just losing a bit of momentum. Glanovsky into the barrier after contact with the pink McLaren of Bandera, facing the wrong way, and well, the pink McLaren didn't get off too well either. Spins it round in, well, plenty of places lower than it would have wanted to be.
It's certainly a safe rejoin though from the American back onto the circuit as we go. Lots of incidents already, and the narrow parts of this circuit really do offer some dangerous prospects perhaps for going side by side, and they could definitely find themselves getting involved in incidents, and we've already had a fair few cars get themselves involved. It looks like we might have lost car number 71 as we go through there. I'll try and find out who that is for you. That looks like Leonardo Kyala through there. His car stopped along the pit straight, so maybe it's gone or maybe it's still in the race, who knows. But a lot of other drivers are way down the order as well. There's Zampieri, Parry, Glanowski, Gamello, Miller and Bandera now too, right down, not where they would want it to have been at the start.
No, I don't think so. A couple of people moving forward, of course. A couple of people consolidating where they are. These two, however, at the front, different gravy, as they were quoted a little bit earlier on by the one and only Andrew Pike in the YouTube chat. But Konchik able to reclose that gap now, back under 1 second, and Aligna, his life not looking overly easy. We're still 36 minutes left to go. Konchik there setting the fastest lap of the race, and while Aligna did the great job as to get a good start and build that gap early on, now he's got the very tough job as to sort of maintain that good start that he once had.
It's one thing to be fastest in qualifying, it's a completely other thing to be fast during the course of a race, and we've still got 36 minutes left to go. We're only 4 minutes in to this race, and we've got a pit stop in between that as well. Mandatory pit stop, of course, during the middle of the race when we reach around the 20-minute, the 30-minute mark, I should say, even as we go along. Is it the 30-minute mark? Am I wrong? I feel like I'm wrong. No, I am right. 20-minute pit window, isn't it?
Yep.
How long have I been here?
Too long, unfortunately. Season 3, was it Season 3 Imola? Season 4
3 Imola. Season 3.
Oh, goodness. Oh,
Even you don't remember.
No, I don't. It's because I try and forget that day.
How rude.
Well, I mean, I took a pay cut to let you in here, so I mean, just putting that one out there. But it's fine because I got you into good old JPB. Whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. We're good representatives for the company, aren't we?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we haven't had any complaints as far as I'm aware. I mean,
well, not the ones that we've heard, no. But James has had to deal with quite a lot of them, I'm sure.
I don't know. I'm blissfully ignorant until otherwise.
Well, it's like Schrodinger's cat. If we don't look at the complaints, they're not really there, are they?
No.
We can't confirm whether they're real or not because we haven't looked at them. They're only real when we look at them. There's the move, by the way. Urison on the inside of Luca Riot, trying to get the move done into turn 1, and well, nice little job.
Yeah, great little job from the Belgian driver, just slipping that BMW down the inside of his rival there, Luca Riot, in the Mercedes, and getting the job done, getting himself into P7 and able to start chasing after the top 3 of the Silvers as well. Elias Troy nice and comfortably in the lead of the Silvers right now, but there's James Wright and there's Powell as well. They're both very close to one another, and if Urison can close that gap up, he may be in the fight for the podium places.
Oh well, potentially so. I mean, that is a fairly long train. Urison, as we saw last week, incredibly strong driver, and of course looking equally as strong in this race as well. Jakub Gromowski into probably one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit. Unfortunately, not close enough to Raya to really get a move done. And Andrew Pike tried to take the mick and, well, spelt the word that I spelt wrong correctly whilst trying to take the mick out of me for spelling it wrong as such. So that didn't really work out for him. Ryan Blanchet, by the way, all over the rear end of Gromowski. Not really too sure as to what he was thinking about going for the move into there. A very half-hearted attempt nonetheless. But here you can see the Sky Tempesta Racing McLaren all over the back of a previous champion, of course, in the form of Luca Rai, who himself is fighting away with Urison. All they're doing really is capping themselves at 7th place overall.
Yeah, certainly they're slowing each other down. They're not working effectively together, and we could see another move here into turn number 2. Through 1 they go. They're all trying to filter into the draft as well, and Gromowski not sure where to go. He's going left, going right, tries to look down the inside as they go, doesn't able to pull alongside the Mercedes in front of him, and he's going to have to sit behind again and continue to go on. Will he find a chance through the rest of the lap? We'll see, but he's all over the back of the Mercedes in front of him, and we're just keeping an eye on the gap between Konchik and Eligner as well. It was around 2 tenths a few corners ago, but it's back up to 4 tenths now, but I imagine that's going to continue to be a trend all race long, and the pit stops will certainly be very interesting, especially between those two as they go. What do you think, Zach? Is it undercut, overcut at this circuit? What do you think's strongest?
I mean, I don't necessarily think the tyres are going to go off by any means. So, sort of similar to most, when it comes to sort of the most when it comes to the strategy. It's not necessarily the overcut or the undercut due to tyre wear or anything like that. It's more circumstance. So the undercut can work if you come out in free air. The overcut can work if the driver that tried the undercut comes out in traffic as such. And that, you know, to and fro, because not a lot of the time our driver's actually changing tyres and getting the advantage of fresh ones anyway as such. So I think it's all going to depend on circumstance, how early the midfield as such come into the pit lane that allows the likes of Eligner and Konchik to sort of have a little bit more freedom as to when and where they come in to the pit lane. But we aren't too far over the sort of around that pit window, only a minute or so. However, your Bandera gets really unlucky with the timing, a huge shunt to his front end. Sees him, I believe, out of this race, and that might be how it happened.
Oh dear, perhaps. As it's a big spin there for number 7. Yeah, it's peeling in as well. That's a completely different livery on that car, Zach. It was pink a second ago, and now it's more like a Buzz Light, and now it's pink again.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Just decided that it wanted to be a different colour scheme as it came into the pit. I don't know. Replay files are always funny. I'm not entirely sure because you're not allowed custom paints on ACC. No, I think you are actually, but you have to do it in a very specific way. I really don't know as such as to why that would happen, because obviously, say in iRacing, it's easy, you know, trade-in paints fails or whatever, and it goes back to the default paint scheme rather than the custom one that they've uploaded. And well, there you go. New bug in ACC has just been caught in the sense that the cars decide to change liveries on a whim.
Maybe it's like that infamous dress, you know, the gold and white and the black and blue dress as the pit window opens. Perhaps it's a pink or a white, purple and green livery on that car there. Who knows? Who remembers that? Jesus, that was a long time ago. Personally, for me, it was black and blue. But
what's that?
There you go. The dress. I mean, you might be too young to remember.
No, that's white and gold.
Dress. Ah, it was black and blue, mate. I mean, to be fair, I've seen both. So somebody's like trying to cause a stir on the internet.
No, because in some capacities, it's interchangeable. Like with the Yanni Laurel thing, like I can sort of interchange both. There's Gromowski, by the way, of course, Midas Racing coming in to cheer both of them on. Here's Marcel Hess as well on the inside of Mav Gardner, but that also doesn't come to fruition. But it's just I can't see the black and blue even if I try really hard. Marcel Hess, however, sees the inside of Mav Gardner, picks his way through. However, the BMW tries to get the up and under. That doesn't work for him either in this fight for 12th.
Fighting back and fighting hard as he goes, but the Porsche has got him covered off for the time being. Andrew Pike says it was black and blue 100%.
That's Andrew Pike.
This is going round the outside as Mav Gardner's found the inside now. Still side by side they go. And it looks like the BMW is still going to have to fight this Porsche as they're going through. Two German giants of manufacturers fighting one another. They come to blows a little bit over the curb. Marcel Hess just about holds the place. That was some hard racing.
Very much was, and hopefully we're going to see some similar stuff in that fight for first in a few moments' time, side by side into heaviest braking zone really on the circuit bar, turn number 1. Marcel Hess still able to stay ahead as they go through Le Cop and now in towards the margin off this very long sweeping straight that leads you obviously into the long sweeping left-hander just after it. Ryan Blanchette fighting at the back end of the top 10. This is with Gromowski, who I believe is now ahead of the Ferrari, the number 5 machine, a little bit wide from the Sky Tempesta machine, and that's probably the worst place you want to make a mistake proceeding along straight.
Yeah, very long straight, very important to get that good exit, keep that momentum. It really powers you along the straight, and you can see Blanchette closing in on the car ahead of him as they go through. Ferrari versus McLaren as he tries to find a way around the outside. There's Almonte in the Mercedes in the just behind them as well, trying to sneak through, and Blanchett unable to go on the attack in towards turn number 2 on this occasion. He'll sit there and think about another way to go. That's unless Almonte gets his nose in and tries to get past the Ferrari, and he's trying to find a way. He's looking all over, but he can't quite find a way through there.
No, not quite. Maybe due to sort of maybe a lack of overtaking opportunities here at Kyalami, particularly sort of through that sweeping section. Always difficult, as here is Dominic Ligner, very wide. I believe that's Damien Konchik.
It is. Konchik was very much off the circuit there. That's a lapped car in between the two of them, but that's a mistake from Damien Konchik, which is something we didn't really see much of last race, and now he's made a mistake, and that gap went down from just a few tenths of a second to up to 2.573 seconds, and maybe even more.
Yeah, that could well continue to grow. Of course, in France, it was Dominic Ligner that we saw the mistake from to see him get the drive through. Now in South Africa, it might be Konchik that's the receiver of some bad luck or bad driving. Here is Kazim Khanov, who is fielding Samuel Chumley's livery nonetheless. So while he's not here, he's here in spirit. Through the S's though, bit too much curb, bottomed out, car bumped, unsettled, and into the barrier.
Yeah, indeed. His handsome Stu saying 4th place. What's Hislop's time? I think he's
his lap. His lap. His lap.
His last lap time, it was a 41.6. Or his fastest at the very least.
It gets to a point where you have to sort of question how funny it actually is when it comes to the very interesting hecklers. I mean, these two are do you know that scene in Ted where they go to the comedy club or the improv place?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I imagine those two to be. They go to improv and they just shout the most inappropriate responses they possibly can and try and get a ruse out of it. I can clearly sort of see that as them two.
Yeah, I can see that 100%. Those two definitely being a right little duo. And those improv nights. Jesus, the live chat between these two. I mean, they certainly keep it interesting. That's for sure. As we go through. I'm trying to find out your fastest lap time for you as I go through, but I'm being more on searching through these lists. Oh, and now I've closed my tab.
Well, I mean, that definitely isn't helpful, and definitely contradicts what Andrew Pike just said in regards to the best commentators can handle the best hecklers. Well, us closing tabs definitely showcases our sheer professionalism, I'm sure. Still 14 minutes left of the pit window, 24 minutes left of this race. And it's just, I don't know, it's never not, it's never not boring. The double negative there sort of confused me for a second, but it's always exciting when it comes to the TSRC because, I don't know, it's a little bit unhinged. And I do like the format of broadcast that we do have because it walks the tightrope between professionalism and not professionalism. Yeah, I think we do it quite well as such, the interaction that we do have. Whether or not James approves is a different thing entirely. However, we have got obviously Andrew Pike and Stuart Pike, and we can't really blame ourselves when those two get involved. There is Almonte on the inside of Ryan Blanchett through the very fast right-hander that goes on for seemingly forever. That inside line definitely should prevail. However, the Ferrari, some nice agility to go around the outside. That'll be appealing to Hamilton.
Indeed, certainly so, and never not boring. So boring then, says Andrew Pike. You've been called out for the double negative there, Zach. As you go along, I have found out your fastest lap for you though. That belongs to Damien Konchik, a 1:40.550, and I'll let you know that Dominic Ligner's last lap time was 1:40.840 there. So only a couple of attempts, only 3 attempts off the fastest lap time for Dominic Ligner there right now. So it's close between these two, but that mistake's really cost Konchik some time, and he's definitely going to have to put in some laps to try and close up on a Ligner, but that's going to be quite a tall order now with that gap the way it is.
Yeah, it really is. I think it is going to take a mistake from Ligner to close that for Konchik to win this race. Even then, I mean, he probably will. I think he will be leading the championship because Ligner's best result in the pros was 3rd. Konchik obviously getting that win. Then again, actually, technically they'll be matched because their drop scores will be dropped. So Ligner will drop his 3rd, Konchik will drop his 2nd, and they'll get reinstated their win. So technically they're tied. in the championship, which is is crazy. And so that'll be interesting to see, obviously, in the Pro Championship and the overall championship in regards to the pair of them. 12 minutes, 25 seconds left to go. And Jakub Gromowski, unfortunately, we caught another McLaren making an unfortunate mistake. I mean, there are so many of them. 25 kilos lighter, though, and it's making them, well, it seems more difficult to drive.
Yeah, it certainly does. Just the back end stepping out on him through there. And only a minor incident, but it lost him a lot of time as he goes through. Facing the wrong way, of course. That's the last thing you want when you're driving around a race car. So you definitely a big blow there. Loses a couple places, and he'll have to get himself clawing back up. And you can see just ahead of him, in front of that lapped car, are Almonte and Blanchette, who are fighting one another still as they go through. And Almonte trying to find a way through. They're side by side, and Blanchette just gives him the space and tries to perhaps go around the outside, unable to do so into the corner. It's just not the nature of the track to allow him to get back past there. And that's Almonte now past Ryan Blanchette for P8.
Beautiful stuff, beautiful racing, and the Mercedes overtaking a Ferrari. Definitely not going to be appealing to Lewis Hamilton. I'm sorry, we challenged ourselves, didn't we, Kelsey, to try and fit it in as many times as we can, and I think it is just getting to the point where even we are bored of it. Well, I am, especially when it comes to mentioning it so many times. Yeah. Anyway, the YouTube chat always intriguing. I've been given an L by Josh. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what I've done to deserve that, but is what it is, I suppose. Anyway, 10 minutes left of the pit window, and we're still yet to see our top two.
Yeah, the hecklers are very much on the ball in there, and a lot of the drivers still haven't come in. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7 drivers have come in for their stop at the moment. That's making it 8 drivers as he's in the pit lane right now. So still lots of drivers to come in, and the pit window almost halfway through. When a driver's gonna hop into the pits, change those tyres, it'll be crucial for those drivers in battles like we have here with Andrea Almonte and Ryan Blanchette fighting each other as well. Could be important for Gromowski as well, who's lurking, trying to get himself back into this fight with them, just ahead of him. So it's going to be an interesting prospect. Luca Raya looks untouchable at the moment as the AM leader. He's got lots of cars ahead of him. And the next driver closest to him, I guess, is going to be Patrice Gameo there in the car 74.
Yeah, obviously with Miller in the pit lane, the next closest is Patricio Gameo and Luca Raya in 7th. A lot of cars in between him, and at the moment he's good enough for 4th place in the silver. So Luca Raya, I believe it was it season 5 when we went to Bathurst? I think it was for the season finale. That's of course when Luca Raya won the AM Championship, and well, if he keeps up this run of form of just outperforming everyone, he definitely looks well poised in order to do that. Of course, whether or not he'll come out ahead of Patricio Gameo after his pit stop is another thing. I don't doubt it too much. Though, of course, with the gap that he had into the pit lane, though, Troy, Hislop, Wright, Raya, Almonte, Blanchette, Glanovsky, and Miller still stopped there at the in the pit lane. In fact, actually, no, that's that Lamborghini now leaving. So way down there, with Blanchette into the pits. He'll take to the track once again, and well, there we go. Our first penalty for speeding for Miller. Stop, go 30.
There you go. You don't want to get one of those in the pit lane, but Miller's got himself one, and he'll have to serve that one by the time, or face an even heftier penalty, or at least as equal to what the time loss would be for taking that stop go 30 as they go. But let's see what else is going on. James Wright and Elias Troy both came into the pits, and now they've exited, and they are close to one another once again, battling each other as they go. Your effective leaders in the Silver Championship at the moment, with Elias Troy leading the way, as it seems from the timing towers insights.
Yeah, it definitely looks to be the case. 18 minutes though left of this race. I mean, well, there is a race going on, by the way, and we are into the second half of it. James Wright on the back of Elias Troyer. This is the fight for 6th, 4th place as it stands in the silver class. However, obviously with the rest of the other guys yet to come into the pit lane, this might well turn itself into the race for the lead. I believe it actually will be after everything has sort of settled itself out. Should be good to watch these two for the rest of the race. Only a quarter of a second between them, and well, both of them definitely deserving of that silver spot. Both of them definitely vying for the win.
Yeah, they are, and both looking very well poised for it. And behind them is Hislopster. He's not in that silver fight there, and Urison is well off the two of them as they're continuing to fight, and the time will continue to tick down. We're in the second half of the race now. 7 minutes left of the pit window, 17 minutes left of racing. That's not a lot of time at all. That's only a handful of more laps to go around this track and get the job done as we go. Who has the shiniest bald head is the poll in the Sim Racing Collective. Is it Fish or Acton? Gosh, I don't know. What do I vote?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I put Fish purely because I wouldn't see Acton washing it. I'll be honest. He'll probably take a picture of it and then add some After Effects to whack in some shine onto it. And people have spoken. 80 to 20. There we go. Andrew Pike, bada bing, bada boom. Into the pit lane, by the way. Both our race leaders, Eligna and Konchik.
Yeah, both of them in there. I don't think they're going to be any under threat from an undercut from anyone behind them, but you never know as they go. Maybe Elias Troy and James Wright have really pumped in the laps over the last, well, lap or two. And Andrew Pike outraged by his newly crowned shiniest bald head title as we go through there. Now the only drivers left to take a pit stop are, of course, Mav Gardner in the BMW and Bandera in the McLaren. Who is he still racing? I'll have a look. What's his car number? Bandera number 7 is number 7 still out there on the track. Doesn't look like it. I can't see it on my track map.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think so.
Oh,
Head is
there
round.
he is. I see
Oh
him.
no, he's out there. Out there, yeah.
Way down on everybody else, but still out there pushing along.
Awesome stuff. Michael Glanovsky for Milos Racing, of course, once again have come to the YouTube chat to cheer on the support for their two poles of Gromovsky and Glanovsky, who are both running fairly well. I mean, they definitely would have liked to been doing better, but with the issues that have come their way, they definitely haven't sort of extracted the potential that they potentially could have out of those McLaren 720S. There's 15 minutes left to go. He's on the back of Marcel Hess. This is the fight for just about 6th place, I believe, in the battle. 7th place, actually. I think Mav Gardner takes 7th spot, actually. So this is for 8th. I do apologise. My counting is absolutely all over the place. There's the BMW leaving the pit lane. That is Mav Gardner. And he settles just ahead of them. So this could actually be a fight for 7th.
I was thinking that handsome suit. An orange is flat if you stand on it. Well, there you go. As I'm still also saying, gravity is a myth. I'm not going to open that can of worms for sure. But Lenovsky all over the back of Marcel Hess there. And Konchik made up some time in the pit lane, Zach.
He did. Only half a second now between them. So what we once thought might be a mistake from Eligna that would close that gap, in fact, just only needed to be a good pit stop from the pole in order to close it. And again, that's the thing with ACC. That's why I find so weird that literally for no reason you can gain a good couple of seconds in the pit stop just by sort of doing it well. The most I've seen it happen is like 5, 6, 7 seconds as such. I mean, maybe there wasn't as much fuel to put back in, or in fact, actually no, because they all have a set amount of fuel time. Tyres definitely don't take 3.5 seconds. So somehow Konchik has gained 3 seconds in entering the pit lane, stopping in his pit box, and leaving the pit lane. And now I know that you can definitely lose a lot of time by doing that, but I've never seen someone to sort of gain so much time from doing that so well.
I think Dominic will be scratching his head in the cockpit of that Audi for sure, thinking, how has he gained that much time on me when he was 3.5 seconds behind me when we both came into the pit lane? That is certainly a marvel as a McLaren has gone off the circuit in the background of this fight here with Marcel Hest, and there's Mav Gardner there as well, and there's Glanovsky in the background trying to find a way into that as well. The Porsche looking for a way past the BMW. These two fighting once again.
They are indeed continuing to battle away again with only 12 minutes 50 on the clock. They are running out of time to do so. Sorry, again, Stuart Pike in the YouTube chat. Does anyone here enjoy racing games? After Racing Games Enjoyer had commented in the YouTube chat. We have got to get serious once again, because this fight for the lead once again very, very close. 0.3 of a second. Konchik being given a second lifeline then in this race in order to maybe go for the lead. Ligner though surely going to be feeling the pressure in these final moments.
Yeah, he is, and he'll try and make that Audi as wide as he possibly can, and Kyalami's layout will certainly play into the hands of a Ligner here. He'll try and fend off Konchik to the bitter end as they go. 12 minutes left or so as we cross the line once again, and it's these two back close to each other. The lead for the pros as they're making their way down the main straight into turn number 2 as they go. Hope Michael Puckinbum gets a good result. Who is that? I don't know. And Racing Game Enjoyer is certainly enjoying.
Oh, Kelsey.
Have I fallen into a trap here?
I think you might have. Oh. If that is anyone's real name, I am so sorry. I was going to say, you can park where you like.
You can't park there, sir.
You can park there, because it might be a bit of a tight fit sometimes, and we wouldn't want you to damage anything going in or out of the specific parking spot. Of course, here's Grimovsky on the back of Ryan Blanchette, still fighting away with it, and the battle for 9th place continues on. Strip Weathers isn't in this, however, yeah, he definitely is a 7-time Piston Cup winner, and Whenever I hear the word Piston Cup, or the words Piston Cup I should say, I always think of that one scene where Mate spits out his drink and goes, he did what in his cup? Ever since I found out what, like, I grew up, obviously, when I was young, I was oblivious. Then obviously I sort of grew up a little bit, not entirely, and realised obviously what he was getting at. I've never been able to hear it the same.
Yeah. I forgot that happened. I watched Cars 1 and 2 recently. 2 is awful. Cars 3,
the potential was so good.
It really was. It was very, very good, that potential for that film. But they decided to make it about a spy story rather than racing, which
well, I was
part of the franchise.
I was 6 when it came out, so obviously I enjoyed it nonetheless because Lightning McQueen got a spoiler. So I've always loved it, and I enjoyed the video game that came out as well. Cars 3, by the way, came out 7 years ago this year.
Wow, 7 years ago. Oh, it looks like the vote's been amended, although I don't like the... Oh no, it hasn't. It's still Fish 71 to 28 actually, so it's again.
Still fairly convincing.
You can't change what's already there, Andrew. It's not going to happen.
The facts are there. We bring science, of course, with the polls, and I don't know how much weight that statement holds after recent events now, of course, with I bring science. But for the purpose of us, it definitely does have a lot. Pole rigging, of course, Andrew Pike, battle chestnut.
Well, at least you'll have an aerodynamic advantage with that, with just how shiny that head of yours is, Andrew. So think of the positives, as we would see. This is Sasha Powell and Jurison fighting one another here as well. There's a few little battles going on up and down the grid. There's Elias Straw and James Wright still fighting each other, and Ligner's opened up his gap to Konchik by 1.1 seconds as they go there. Then there's Glanovsky, Gardner and Hessel fighting one another as well, so a little bit of changing has happened there in that fight toward the midfield as well, but plenty of action in this last 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, ticking down the laps for sure, and this race definitely has gone quick for one reason or another. Sasha Park on the back of Jurison, that gap at the front opening up to over a second once again, which is unfortunate, of course, for Konchik, but music to the ears of Dominic Ligner, who's going to be very delighted at the standard of his driving so far today. The fight for the silver podium, though, coming down to the wire. The 69 machine doing a brilliant job as to stay ahead. However, Paul, with 25 less kilos at that McLaren than what he saw last week, definitely looking a little bit more poised and well adapted to the twists and the turns of Kyalami. Here's Glanovsky on the back of Gardner as well, in a bit of a train actually, with Marcel Hirsch just in behind.
Yeah, the three of them down towards turn number 2, looking for a late move perhaps. Here's Glanovsky in that 53 McLaren, not able to pull it off, not able to draw alongside or scare Gardner into a little mistake, so unable to make up a place on this occasion. Going to sit behind in this train. He's going to be the second man in a 3-car train. Ignore that pink car just behind. That is, of course, Bandera, who is way down on the order. But here comes Sasha Powell around the outside of Urison, trying to find a way through. This is for P3 and the Silvers as they go still side by side as they go down the hill now. And they're going to continue this side-by-side trend. The McLaren just pulling ahead, pulls in through the racing line. Perhaps, though, the BMW able to go side-by-side once again. Can he get the up and under? No, he's going to try and go all the way, the long way around in that BMW. Well off the circuit there, unable to gain any advantage and get back alongside the McLaren of Paul. And he's going to be down to P7 as Paul snatches away P3 and P6 in the overall standings.
Nicely done, and a great move indeed. Great respect given by both drivers. The counter-attack still possible, let's not forget. I mean, Urison could definitely still have another look. Here's Glanovsky in this fight with Hess. That McLaren behind is not for position. That is, you know, of course, Joao Bandera 2 laps down on the next car of Risici, and slightly unfortunate, of course, the way that things proceeded for him. Of course, it was contact, I believe, with Glanovsky, or was it? It was one of the McLarens, one of the other McLarens anyway, and I think it might well have been one of the Ovskis, and he obviously is making up the rear of the train. However, not in it in terms of the fight for position. The back end of it is Marcel Hess in that Porsche, and the train goes up to Mav Gardner in that BMW, looking beautiful as ever up in front. The gap for the lead, though, now once again closing in on 2 seconds. Dominic Ligner, he obviously allowed that gap to close, but he's not waiting around to stretch it once again.
All that glitters ain't bald, says Andrew Pike in the chat, except on the weekends. Is that right? Am I right on saying that? I feel like I am. As we go, I reckon there's a lot of glitter involved in whatever Andrew Pike gets up to on the weekend.
Well, you know, yeah, I really can't say, but maybe it's bold outside. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, you don't get this anywhere else really in sim racing, do you, as such? I mean, Andrew Pike and Stuart Pike, the Pikes really, which we have concluded is the plural for them. I love that bolt on. Oh, they just keep coming, really, which is great. I mean, I'm thoroughly entertained. We just need to keep writing these down as such and nick them. So yeah, fair play to those two. Bring in the funny.
Oh dear, ain't no party like a Pike party, as they say, as they're having there in the chat, going along bold lang sign. I don't know what that means. I don't know what they're on about. But Glanovsky all over the back of Mav Gardner, down through turn 1 they go. Is there going to be a late move from the pole in towards turn number 2? He thinks about it as they go. Gardner's got him covered off, but a mistake from the BMW sends him deep, and they could be side by side. They are for just a moment, and then he rides over the curb, knocks the McLaren off the circuit, and the Porsche, the Red Sea opens, and he finds the way through. And there's a little bit of a jostling there as Bandera's trying to unlap himself as well among these 4. He's got every right to do so. They might be a bit annoyed that he's trying to do so in this fight that they're having for position, but that was certainly exactly what Hess would have wanted to see, those two coming together and just inviting him through.
Let's have another look. Taking a quick flashback in the world and over the Sosh curb, yeah, and it's so easy to do, really. You have to, you have to empathise with it. It's such an easy mistake to do. Of course, an unfortunate one, and of course with the the commentary team will not be singing these. I can firmly I mean, unless Kelsey, I know you're sort of into your theatre stuff, so maybe you would like to. I definitely will not be indulging in that for sure. But yeah, an unfortunate mistake, but an easy one at that.
Yeah, certainly. So I mean, maybe I'd give it a go, but I don't know. I think there's a much more interesting stuff going on the racing track right about now, with this battle going on here, and there's still the battle between Troyer and Wright going on. Although it looks like Troyer's got the best of his rival as he's opening up that gap.
And there's Urison facing the wrong way. Rejoining the circuit, now in 8th place overall and losing the podium spot fight that he had with Paul. Of course, lost it initially, and then of course is definitely firmly out of contention. Ryan Blanchette only 5 seconds behind, albeit maybe not close enough to actually launch an attack and force Urison to lose any more time. Here's the fight though for the silver lead.
Yeah, it is. It's still very close then. That timing tower, deceptive as it usually is. The gap 0.5 of a second. I think they've only got one more lap to settle this. Let's see, where's car 716? Crossing the line now. This is the penultimate lap then by the lap times that I'm seeing. So not much longer left to go. But still plenty of time to maybe make a move if he can get close enough. Speaking of gaps, 3.5 is the gap once again to Aligner and Konchik. So Aligner has left Konchik for dust and is sitting nicely on that top place for the pros. Doesn't look like he's going to be bothered unless he makes a mistake in his last few moments.
Yeah, which is definitely by this race's standards not what he is going to be doing. I would highly doubt that. 5.6 seconds is absolutely insane. No, I will not be singing it, Stuart Pike. And I thought I outlived Sweendog as, well, your Bandera into the barrier once again. Glonovsky fighting away with the BMW of Gardner, picking himself ahead and up into 12th place once again. Honestly, I thought those days of Sweendog were behind me, but evidently so. They firmly are not as we head on to the final lap of the race.
Sweendog, gosh, that sounds like quite the saga as we go. Onto this last lap, Mav Gardner, can he get himself back ahead of Glonovsky in that McLaren? He's trying to find a way through. Can he get the up and under on the exit of turn number 2? Not quite, as they head through 3 and into 4 now. No way for a little Weendog.
See, that just sounds like a euphemism.
Oh, I'm definitely sure it is.
Oh, maybe I know. No, well, oh, this will be the final lap here. 25 seconds left. Sweendiggle. Wow, that definitely sounds like something you shouldn't search up on Urban Dictionary for sure. Because, yeah, just it probably isn't a thing, but it sounds like it would be a thing. Sweenizzle? Sweenizzle? Where do you put the emphasis? Is it Sweenizzle or Sweenizzle?
Who knows? Oh, gosh, that is a good question.
And what are the definitions for these, by the way? Like, I want to know. Sizzle, Sweenizzle. Sizzle, Sweenizzle. What is this broadcast? The Sween Peen. Nice. That is the new nickname going forwards.
Oh, dear.
And I don't think I'm ever going to live these down. My entire professional commentary career has come down to being called Sween Peen on a broadcast. It's great. I'm an award-winning commentator, technically, and I'm getting called Sween Peen on a broadcast.
Yeah, he's got to remind everybody he's an award-winning commentator, just in case.
And nominated for a Simi as well, just so you know.
Not bragging at all.
No. Sorry. I was just stretching, my neck was a bit sore carrying this massive head. But all in all, just, yeah. Just all of this, the last 3 years of hard work, this quote-unquote real job that I've got, has just been belittled. However, Dominic Ligner, you can't belittle him today. He's about to win the race.
Yeah, he is coming around last corner now. He's left Konchik for dust. 11.4 seconds. The gap of Ligner has been absolutely unbelievable today. And he crosses the line in P1, flashes the lights as he does. And he has been dominant throughout. And there is Damian Konchik. He'll be looking back on this one and thinking, where did it all go wrong? Perhaps Kyalami, not a circuit suited to the man in the 913, but certainly suited to Elias Troy, who's going to be your winner for the silvers in car number 63, coming across the line. A few little wiggles as he does so as well. Then there'll be Hislop in P3 for the pros and P4 altogether. Then Wright will come home in 2 for the silvers, and then there's Paul, and then there's Luca Rye, who's going to be taking a big lead in the AM Championship.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Beautiful race. By the way, already my girlfriend is starting to take the mick at me for the nicknames that are coming in from the YouTube chat, which is great. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And nice. Love you all too. Hans Pursuit, what time does race 2 start? Next week at 8 p.m. Well, typically 8:15-ish. That's when qualifying will be about done. Mav Gardner across the line now in the fight with Glenovsky all the way to the end, but not enough to seize 12th place overall. And a further place up in the silvers. But from Aligna growing that gap to about 3 seconds before the pit stops to then 12 afterwards is absolutely insane as to how he's driven this race.
Yes, and I think Damien must have had another mistake. Perhaps it's definitely not a circuit that Konchik is a fan of. It can be quite difficult. It is very technical and twisty, so it is understandable from that point of view. And we're just waiting for Miller to cross the line there as well. Here he comes in that lone Lamborghini as we get ready to go through the drivers as they have finished this evening. Dominic Aligna, a dominant performance from him as he takes the win this evening for the pros, and all together as well. Lining up alongside him on the podium is Damian Konchik, his direct rival in this competition this season. Then Elias Troy takes home a win for the silvers. Then there is Hislop coming home P3 for the pros. Then we have James Wright and Paul rounding off your top 3 for the silvers there in the top 6. And then there's Luca Rye, your AM winner. Then there's Urison, Blanchette, Gramovsky rounding off the top 10. And there's Hess, Glanovsky, Gardner, and Andrea Almonte. Then there's Gemello coming home P2 for the AMs. Then there's Nieto. Then there's Presici coming home P3 for the AMs. Then we have Bandera, Zampieri, Miller, Kuzenkanov, Parry, and Kyala rounding off your grid.
What a race that we had. 40 minutes of just pure action all the way through. And a lot of banter as well, I suppose we can call it at that. Well, bring on the rest of the season if this is what we're in for.
Yeah, certainly. It's definitely going to be quite the season. I think Konchik and Aligna have got a lot of rivalry still to see out throughout this entire season as we continue to go. Next week we head to the famous Spa-Francorchamps for a race in the Ardennes Hills of Belgium. Then of course to Silverstone for our sprint round, then Bathurst for the next round after that, and then Nürburgring to round things off. But that is going to be it for this evening's event. I hope you have all enjoyed. The live chat has certainly been nice and lively as it normally is over here, and thank you all so very much for all tuning in and getting yourselves involved. Any more any more insights from yourself, Zach? Anything to add?
No, I don't think we can really add much onto this. Of course, the racing spoke for itself out on circuit. The YouTube chat definitely speaks for itself as well. Yeah, we'll see you in a week's time.
Yeah, certainly. So big thank you everybody again. Make sure you have subscribed as well if you don't want to miss any more of this action here with the TSRC PC GT3 season number 7. But from myself, Zach, and Kieran as well, who has been behind the cameras this whole time, it is a very, very warm good night.